haven't had to place anyone on hold.
Yeah.
Or be
Alright, let me get my stuff. The cards. I think we all start with pretty much mostly the same cards as our starter cards. But what you're going to want to do, you should have a little scoring disc, and that goes over here. You're going to
just stack ourselves up on the...
Yep. We'll stack. These kind of half meeples are your agents. And I guess we'll put them up on screen where we can see them. Mine are a little bit dark, but these little
there needs to be a game that uses those types of tokens, but they're sprays.
I'm sure someone's done that. You should have 10 agents. And you should also have 10 squares, which are influence tokens. And a deck.
I do.
I'll deck anybody who touches my agents.
Mine are very discombobulated. They are not very well organized. We also have zombie meeples because why not? Gotta love it. Zombie meeples. 5 of these are your influence, what are known as influence tokens. 5 will go into your reserve, and 5 need to go into limbo, which is the spot with all the tentacles coming out of it.
I just thought it was that bar that people were trying to get under.
That too. So I think some of our cards are actually a little bit different, but I wouldn't shuffle these yet because we're going to use these to explain the rules, and while they are dark. On the bright side, these don't have a lot of text on them, so we really, as we play them, so that folks watching will kind of understand what's going on, all we have to really do is say what we're doing with them. So that's not too bad. This is a little bit hard to kind of see, but you should be able to see, hopefully, our colors. When we place our stuff, let's place it flat, so it'll show up, instead of like this, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, all these agents will look like influence tokens from above. So the idea of this game, this is based on a short story written by Neil Gaiman, where Sherlock Holmes, or the world of Sherlock Holmes, kind of crosses with H.P. Lovecraft's worlds, which I need to read that story. I haven't yet, and just that whole idea of Cthulhu and Holmes is my favorite. Yes. So I'm actually going to read from the instruction manual just the setting information so that folks understand it who haven't read the story. It's 1882, so that's where I got 1882 from, whoops. And the old ones are already here. They've arrived 700 years ago and have been ruling the planet ever since. The majority of people just get on with their lives, accepting their monstrous rulers. However, there is a growing band of revolutionaries who wish to free mankind from slavery. These freedom fighters call themselves the Restorationists. A secret war has already broken out between the Restorationists and the forces loyal to the old ones. Yep. The invention of dynamite has changed the balance of power, and a lone assassin now has the capacity to destroy an old one. In this shadow world of assassins, informers, police agents, and anarchists, nobody is quite sure who is who and on which side they fight for. So that's kind of interesting. We all have a secret identity. Some of us are restorationists, some of us are loyalists. It's possible. I never checked the cards before I started playing, so I don't know if it's half and half or if there's only like 2 of one and 4 of the other. But you know, we have 4 players, so we could literally have 1 of one kind and 3 of the other, which was kind of interesting. We each begin the game with our own deck of cards, which is our starter deck, like most deck builders. Mizadori Naru in chat says, "All hail the great lords of madness."
Yep.
I'm sensing a loyalist. Call me crazy. Call me cray.
You're crazy.
Actually, don't call me crazy. This is Call of Cthulhu, so.
Wait.
Unless
You're
I'm
crazy.
If I'm crazy, the game ends.
Woo.
That was interesting. But yeah. So this is our sanity pool. We put that on top of our secret roll card. If we lose all of our sanity, I think the game ends. So we tally the stuff. If one person loses their sanity, I'll double check, but it might not be.
Okay.
I know if you lose your sanity, you go flipping bug out nuts and have to reveal your card.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it ends the game, though, if that happens. I'll double check.
It would just make my thing not really make sense.
Oh, then maybe it doesn't end.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think it ends. I think the game continues.
But you just know who the person is?
Right.
Okay. You can tell I haven't played this before. I'm thinking of like Archipelago, you know what I mean? As soon as you flip your card, it's done. Yeah. Which I guess it makes sense if that doesn't happen. The way you kind of operate the game is, this is kind of like the market for cards, right? And so you're going to gain cards, you're going to go to your discard pile, just like normal deck builders. And those cards should hopefully give you additional agents, give you additional influence, give you the ability to earn points, essentially. Okay. It's not necessarily a cooperative or even a semi-cooperative. It's just, you want to win if you're on your side. We've got our point tokens, we've got our zombie meeples, and this is the sanity die, which we'll occasionally be using. Fun times with that sanity die. I think we've got all of the starting stuff set up correctly. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any. Nope, everything is there. We're going to talk about the cards a little bit, and on the back of the instruction manual, which I'll put probably on Beth's side where that space is, there's a chart of all the symbols. So if you forget what they are, they're actually pretty intuitive, but if you forget what they are, you can look them up real quick before you play your cards. But essentially, I'm going to put this out here so you can see it. There's multiple symbols on a card. When you play a card, it can only be played for one type of symbol on it, or the text effect. Okay. So in some cases, this one isn't really a text effect. This is something else that happens. But like, for example, this has a text effect and like a ton of symbols. You would pick one of these symbols or the text effect. So the neat thing about these cards is they have multiple applications. Okay. You decide what you're going to use that card for. Okay. It's a little bit like Star Realms, where sometimes you're using them for money, sometimes you're using them for attack, sometimes you're using them to heal, depending on the card. It's very, very similar, except more options. And then some cards will have kind of what looks like an agent symbol at the top. I don't know if our starting cards do, but do we have any on the board that do? Yes. This right here has an agent symbol. So it doesn't mean the card operates too terribly different, but you'll get some stuff from that. Also, cards that have text at the bottom will have a subheading, which, like, I think this one does. I think it says interrupt. So that all of those types of cards will have some sort of subheading. So if it says action, playing the card counts as an action during a turn. If you're using, it counts as one of your two actions. Every turn we're going to have two actions. Then it might say free action, and then what that means, it doesn't count towards one of your actions. And you can play as many free action cards as you wish during your turn, including before performing the first action. That means something in a bit, because you can influence a first action. That's kind of hard to influence. Interrupt can be played during another player's turn to block an action against you. It cannot be used to block an action against another player. It has to be an action against you. If you do play an interrupt card and you will draw a replacement card immediately, because you always need to have 5 cards at the start of your turn. If it says benefit, the card is played to modify an action in some manner, usually your action. If it says one use, that card is removed from the game after you use it. It can only be used once per game. And what you want to do is kind of put them towards here, like near your confidential card, because if you lose track of your points, or if you want to make sure your points are accurate, the only way to tally it is to keep track of your cards that were removed from the game as well. You may never need to use them, but that's a good place to keep them, and also say they're out of the game. So we'll figure out who the first player is. Actually, might as well do that right now. Where's that die? And play will move clockwise, obviously. Ooh, 14. Whoop. Now you get the 17. Yeah. 2. Maybe I won't roll on the board, because the board didn't like me last time. Oh! Nobody can see it, but I rolled a 20.
Right, sure you did.
So during your turn, starting with the first player, you can take 2 actions. You can place influence cubes, claim a card, and that can only be played as your first action. So sometimes if you're playing a card that impacts your first action, that's one of the things you can do before you claim a card. And that's claiming cards from the board. You can retrieve influence cubes. You can move agents, move markers, perform an assassination, discard cards, or use a card action or pass. And I'll explain what all those rules mean, but those are the multiple choices you have. And again, we have a chart that shows a list of all those actions if you forget what you can do. So the first one is placing influence cubes. In order to do that, you need to place a card that has one of these symbols on it, which no one's going to be able to see from here. Oh, you can kind of see it. It needs to have a blue cube with a blue arrow point. I'm sorry, an influence cube with a blue arrow pointing down. Okay. That is placing an influence cube. Okay. So if you play a card with one or more of those symbols on it, you can place your influence. You may play multiple cards. There are also some cards that have 2, so you can place 2 without even having to play 2 cards. But if I, for example, played these cards, these 2 right here. Excuse me, I'm going to put it up here so people can see it. I'm going to move these until after I'm done explaining the rules. if I played these 2 cards and said I'm placing influence cubes, I can actually place 3 on the board. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Excuse me. You have to play at least 1 to be able to do that. And these come from your available stock. They don't come from the void. Mm-hmm. You take the number of influence cubes from your available stock equal to the number of the cards you played, and you place them in 1 city of your choice. So you cannot break them up. Okay. There's no limit to the number of influence cubes you can place, as long as you played the right cards. And cubes belonging to different players can be in the same city. So if I put some in Caro, Beth can still put some in Caro if she wants to. You cannot deliberately play more cards than you need to, though. So if I only have 3... Actually, let me do it this way. Let's say I had 1 influence cube left, mm-hmm. and I played 2 cards, so I just want to get rid of the card. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. No, you would just play the 1. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say the only card you had 2 on it. Mm-hmm. It's okay to place this one because it's just 1 card. Okay. You can play that and just place your 1 influence cube. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And that's...
You just can't burn cards.
Yes, you can't burn cards. You can't use multiple cards to lay down multiple cubes unless you have that many cubes to place. Mm-hmm. So you can't do this either. You can't do, I'm going to place that and just place 2 cubes because it's 2 cards. No, mm-hmm. It's 3 cubes. You have to be able to do it. So you would do that one. Mm-hmm. The other thing you can do is claim a card. That's your second action choice. And what it looks like is this. It's like 2 cards, 2 little blue things. Oh. Nope, it's the box with the red arrow is pulling influence back. Okay. It's 2 blue cards and it says first on it. The reason why it has that is because that has to be your first action. You cannot take an action and then claim a card. Mm-hmm. You must claim a card as your first action and then you can take another action. Okay. Exception being you can sometimes play influence cards. You can play cards with text that, I think, which one was it? Was it Benefit that said that?
I know you're only allowed to claim 1 card, period.
I haven't gotten there yet. Oh, free action. If you play a card that says free action and its bottom text, you may play that before you take your technical first action. So you can actually play that before claiming a card. That's the only type of card you can play before claiming a card. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to make sure, because it's not really an action, it's a free action. When you claim cards, so you can only claim cards as your first action, but you may perform a free action. It allows you to take 1 of the cards from the board and place it into your discard pile, and then you'll eventually draw that card when you need to. Mm-hmm. You can claim a card from a game card space. That's what these spaces are. From a game card space, if you have more pieces associated in the city space than any other player, and at least one of those pieces is an influence. So if I have 2 agents in Madrid, and Ashley has 1 agent, I cannot claim a card because I do have more than her, but I need to have at least 1 influence. I have to have 1 of these in here. So if I had that, and I had more, then I do have more than her. Okay. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Let's say I had the 1 influence. I'm trying to think of a good one that would be a good example. Well, you can't claim a card with only agents. You have to have some influence in the city you're performing this action in. You cannot claim a card where you are tied with another player, even if all of the pieces belonging to the other player are agents. That's what I was trying to say. So if, for example, I had 2 agents, and Ashley had an agent and an influence, she can buy. Mm-hmm. Because she has, we're tied, but...
she has influence and you don't.
I'm sorry, we're tied. I'm sorry, we're tied. But let's say she had... let's say she had 2 influence and an agent. There we go. And I had 2 agents. She still beats me because she technically has 3. The influence counts as if it's an agent in that case. Okay. You always count the color together.
You have 3 pieces in the city.
Yes. And to buy the card, 1 has to be an influence. Right. Sorry. So, like, if you're tied with folks, you're counting their colors. So, if all they have are agents, it doesn't matter because they're not buying; they're just preventing you from buying. So, if I had
if you had 2 agents, and I had an agent and an influence, we're still
considered tied.
So we can't. Neither one of us can buy.
Correct. Because
I wouldn't be able to. Period.
Because I don't have any influence, and you can't buy because we have the same number of representatives in that area. Yeah. So sorry, that was hard to explain. So you take the card from the top and you place it in your discard pile. And then all of your influence cubes, actually from the city space that you just took the card from, go into limbo. So they get spent. Yeah. Any influence cubes belonging to other players in the city space are removed and returned to their available stock. So they have to place them again. So if I buy one of these and we each had some influence, right? Mine would go into the void. Yours would go back to your bank. You could spend it again, but you have to use cards to do that. Right. So it slows you down a little bit. The card you've just claimed, if the card you've just claimed is marked with an agent symbol, then you take one of your agent pieces and place it in the city space that you took the card from. In the case of Peter Rachovsky, if you have that card, you would place 2 agents. And I think it says it on the card. So if I buy this one in Rome, I would get a free placement of my agent. I wouldn't have to use a card.
But all of your influence would go here.
Correct.
Would if you had an agent, your agent would still stay there?
Yes, the agent stays there.
It's just the influence.
It's just the influence that goes away. Yep, the influence is like the cash.
Everybody's influence gets wiped.
Yep. If the card is marked with a symbol that's like a hexagon with a number in it, those are points, and you immediately score points.
Points.
Nope, they're down here. They're on the bottom. So see that one over there that has an agent and a 3, you get 3 points.
Okay.
If the card is marked with a yellow circle with this symbol in it, on the bottom, remember, it's on the bottom. This is what you get to use. This is what happens.
But it's that symbol.
Yep. Then you take insanity die and you roll it. If the result is an insanity symbol, which is the sun, then you remove and discard 1 sanity token from your secret identity card. So that's fun. And then it is possible for you to claim more than 1 card in this action. So you can play multiple cards with that symbol and claim one, but claim one from each city in the circumstances above. But it's still counted as 1 action, even though you're taking more than 1 card. So it doesn't count as 2 actions. It's just 2 symbols. And let me see. And then you can retrieve influence cubes. That's the square with the red arrow. So if you play a card with that, and it's the same rules as far as like how many cards you play. So you can't, if you don't have anything in the void, you can't play that card. If you only have 1 in the void, you can't play 2 cards. That kind of thing. And so what you're doing is you're taking them from the void, putting them into your available stock, and I think, and you can also take any cubes from the board. So if you want to just kind of move stuff around and you're like, I'm not going to use that city anymore, you can take it from the void or from the board. So it's a little bit different from when you're placing, where you're kind of limited. You're placing everything together. When you're pulling, you can pull them in any order. So let's say I had an influence here and 1 over there, and I played 1 for 3. I can do 1, 2, and then take 1 from the void. You can take it from multiple places. When placing, you place it in 1 place. When pulling, you pull it from multiple places. Make sense? And it has that same rule as far as when you're playing your cards. You can also move agents, which is a ladder. There should be some of these cards have a ladder on them. That lets you move your agents around. Yeah. So
shoot some letters.
Yes. So bonus action, you play 1 or more cards marked with the ladder symbol. For each such symbol played, you can move 1 of your agent pieces from 1 city space to another city space on the board. You can only move your agents and only those that are on the board. You cannot move agents that are in your stock. There's no limit to the number of agent pieces that can be in a city space. As with the previous actions, you cannot deliberately overpay. And you can move fewer agents than the number of symbols played, given that some cards have multiple move agent symbols on them. So it's very similar. If I had a 2 symbol on here, but I only had 1 agent, I can just move the 1 agent because I'm just playing 1 card. And then you can move markers, and that's, I think these are the markers right here. Yep, there are 2 tracks along the center of the board, 1 marked Loyalist and 1 marked Restorationist. The Loyalist track represents the efforts of the authorities to foment a war, which in turn will feed their unnatural masters and mistresses with psychic energy. The Restorationists are busy inciting the population to throw off their shackles and revolt against the authorities. Some observers, the difference between the 2 aims are difficult to discern. That's a really weird sentence. Basically, it's hard to tell who's right, is what they're trying to say, and they're not doing it.
The normal people don't know which one. But doesn't make any sense.
As an action, you can play 1 or more cards with the symbols, and it looks like these. I don't think we have them on our cards.
I'm going to say like that too.
Yes, yeah, okay, we do that. So if it's a green 2 or a purple 2 with an arrow pointing up, obviously it matches for each color. You then move the markers accordingly on each track. There is nothing to stop you from playing cards to move both markers or to move a marker more than once. Neither marker can be moved higher than 10 on the track. The moment this happens will automatically trigger the end of the game. Once it hits 10, it's done.
Okay.
Please note that in this case, all movements of the markers are resolved before the game ends. After moving all markers, victory points should be adjusted to reflect their new positions. All players score whatever the difference is between the positions of the two markers. It does not matter which side the player is on. This may mean players' victory point scores being reduced rather than increased, depending on how the markers are moved. So it's not like you're going to reveal yourself. If you're moving them around, you're just trying to squeeze points, essentially. So if I move the Restorationist up 1, the difference is 1, so I get a point. If I move the Loyalist, that would happen. If the Loyalist is on 1 and I move the Restorationist to 3, you know what I mean? You get the difference for doing that. But there's also a risk to ending the game too soon if you do that. But it's a way to get points.
Yeah.
Kind of a creepy way to do it because that's not very many points when you think about it. It's only 10. But you can go up and down too. You can go either way. So, I think.
But if you go down, you lose points, right? It made this indicate, the way it sounded like you could lose points.
You move the markers accordingly, so there might be some down. Are there any down symbols? Nope, they're all up.
Yeah.
So you pretty much just you speed up the game
Yeah.
for the sake of getting points. I guess you can't go down. You can't. But it is possible, I guess, to lose points. So if you're ahead and then somebody moves the one up, you'll lose some of your points because you're not ahead anymore. Okay, that makes sense. All right, I get it. Right now we're even, so we're fine. But the other action you can do is perform an assassination, which is the A with the little starburst around it. This one right here.
That's why the assassins have them. Huh?
Yep. There are symbols on the right, and that's for scoring and stuff. The symbols on the left are the ones that all pertain to actions, by the way. If you notice, that's why they're divided. No game about anarchists, secret agents, and unholy creatures from another dimension would be complete without the ability to assassinate the aforementioned. So you play a card with the A symbol on it. You can then target either another agent or a royalty card in a city where you have at least one agent piece. Royalty cards are the elders. They're mixed in here. Some of them are on the bottom because if they get revealed right away, you put them on the bottom. Like I think Cairo got revealed. That one went to the bottom, and then we revealed Sherlock. There's 2. I don't remember where the other one was. Madrid, maybe? There are 2 where they're all the way on the bottom. But essentially, you reveal them. You can try to assassinate them. And you only target a royalty card that is in the royalty slot in the city you wish to perform the action in. So that means it has to be at the bottom, I think. Let me make sure. I'm trying to understand what the royalty slot... Oh, that's what I did wrong. Shoot.
You have a mogwai in your ceiling.
What?
From my perspective, looking up at the holes up there and the way that the paint has peeled, it totally looks like Gizmo from...
I messed up. They don't go on the bottom. They stay revealed.
Oh.
So this one goes right here in the royalty slot.
So he's been revealed.
Yep, there's one more though. I think the other one is Cairo. Check them all. Just look on the bottom and see if it's faced up. Just to be safe. I don't think there were more than 2. I think it was just Cairo and Madrid. Because when they get revealed, they pop over here.
So you know that they're there to be assassinated if you want to.
Yep.
So Nyarlathotep and
Ragog.
Are out already.
Yes. Yep, they popped out right away. Because why not?
Pope Ragarg and
I don't want to mess with those guys
King
yet.
Nyarlathotep are hanging out.
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
You can only perform the assassination in a city space where you have more pieces, including influence cubes, than any other single player. So that's the same deal as far as buying the cards. In the sense the action is similar to that of claiming a card. To complete the action, you must show that you have the correct number of bomb points required. That's what these are. So even though it's not technically... This is for scoring and bomb points only, and this is for doing the actions. So this one helps because it's on the action card where I'm going to commit the assassination. I need 3 bomb points for Rome. So if I don't have them in my hand, then I fail. Each
So
agent
you play him, say you're going to assassinate, but you only have 1 bomb point on it, so you have to show...
No, there's more you can do, because your agents count too. So, each agent piece that you have in the city in question, or the city box in question, so again, in Rome, if I had 2 agents in here, They're like killing themselves, basically. They're worth 1 bomb point, and each card that you play that has the bomb symbol on it is worth a bomb point.
So they're suicide bombers.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So, for example, if I had, in the case where you had an agent and I had an agent and an influence, I would be able to do it because I have more power than you, but I have 1 bomb point plus 1, that's 2, that's not enough.
Right.
Unless in my hand I have another one.
I'm assuming that the way it works with the bomb points is that if you're trying to assassinate an agent, you'd be rolling for the bomb. You'd be trying to get the total of bomb points to the city. If you're trying to kill the royal, you'd have to go for the bomb points on the royal.
Yes, sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm just
Making
trying
sure
to
that's
basically cover
Yeah.
the points thing. But yes, that's exactly right. If you're trying to do an agent, you're in the city. They're just regular people. But
So if you want to kill him, you would need to show. Do you just show that you have a bomb point, or do you actually use the card?
You have to play the card.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do not include any bomb point symbols on the card you played to allow you to perform the assassination. So this one
doesn't
gives me
count.
the assassination, but,
for
not the bomb
example,
point.
if you were assassinating here and you had two, like these two,
Yeah,
you
you'd
could
play them all
discard
together.
those in addition to your
Yes.
agent.
So you could play this one first, and that way, well,
You don't have to.
because
they all have
you
bomb
have to
points.
play that one for
They
the
all have bomb
assassinate,
points.
and then
And that bomb card doesn't count. You just play your other cards that
yeah,
have bomb
so
cards.
this would be 2 plus whatever agents you had.
Correct. Now, you're not killing this card, though. When you perform an assassination in the city, you're killing
You're
another
killing
agent piece.
Yeah, the only card you can kill is the royal, which is at the bottom.
Yes.
It requires the bigger bomb.
Exactly. So hopefully that makes sense.
We need the bigger boom.
All right, so you do so this is to assassinate other player agents, and this is to assassinate a god, essentially. And again, you cannot deliberately overpay cards to meet the bomb point total. You're not allowed to cycle through your decks, basically. is what they're trying to
Apparently,
say.
the old gods are really vulnerable to dynamite.
Yes.
Which I kind of love.
The card you played that allowed you to perform the assassination action is removed from play. It is not put back in your discard pile. You are sacrificing those cards. I think they all say it, but just to be
Because
sure.
what it says in the bottom is that you put whatever you assassinated on top of it, and that gives you victory points worth.
Yeah.
total.
because he blew up.
Yep. So then you would just put this face up over here and stick your.
Whatever you assassinated on top of it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it just is weird because it's like 3 loyalist points, and yet
No, it's not really. It's not really. It's
just the same card.
Literally,
It's
it's
just-
the way it's said on the back is that it tells you put it on there and then they count as victory points.
Yeah, we just score VPs. They just kept them all green for that one.
Okay. I was just like,
It's only in cards where it's just on the card that point. Like this one, you were right. Like this one, which when you get this card, because it has that symbol, you make your sanity roll. So you're right about the top. Sorry, you make your sanity roll, and then you also get 3 points for the loyalist, the restorationist.
which
Sorry,
would make sense because the loyalists
Yeah.
wouldn't kill
Because if
them.
you kill the old god.
You're not very loyal. Shame on you.
Well, you still score them though. I mean, that's the thing that's weird about this because it wouldn't go here. It still scores you here, unless it scores up there. That would make sense because you want to move towards the end of the game.
Right.
So they would score their victory points, and then everybody tallies by the difference, I guess. Because you don't want people to know what you are. That's what confuses me a bit. Because wouldn't that tell people who you are?
Not necessarily.
Oh, you do it at the end of the game. Is how you score. Well, because I was talking about where you're moving the thingies up and down. That's confusing.
Easy to forget rules. Yes, we
markers.
haven't even finished reading them. We've already been confused by them.
Well, this is a little bit of a tricky game. Because you move the markers according to the track. After moving all markers, victory points should be adjusted to reflect their new positions. All players. Okay, so it's always going to be... Okay, that makes sense. So you would get your 3 for your loyalist. That would go up. That could potentially change everybody's score. All right, that makes sense. Okay, I get it. Sorry. And then when you assassinate, you just get straight VPs for yourself. Okay.
So the colored ones are the board, but these are yours.
If up here you get black, yellow, or green if it's up here, right? Black, yellow, black, pink, or green.
Right.
Black is neutral. So you just get victory points.
So like this one, black is mine on this
Yes.
board, but whoever kills him moves this track up 3.
Yes, which adjusts everybody's score
Right.
based on the difference between the two
Right.
peoples.
Right. Okay.
And same thing if you have a card up here that has pink.
Like and so the
or-
this something happens to this one, then the loyalist goes up 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Jeez, that's not
Wow.
confusing.
No, not confusing at all.
Hopefully we're doing this right. I'm pretty sure there's people that are reading this who are watching this are gonna be like, or if we play it when we put it on YouTube, I'm sure folks will correct us because it's a little bit how it's worded is a little bit odd. It's not. It seems simple though. I think that might be the problem. It might be too simple. But I think we got it. We got it. All right. Thus, all cards used to perform assassinations are one use only. Hence the star icon to help remind you the difference between this action and other standard action. Okay. All other cards played to support the action go to your discard pile unless explicitly stated otherwise, such as the Fenian's card.
Okay, so the extra bomb cards just recycle,
Yes.
but the assassin is
Yes. That's why it has the star. If you choose to assassinate another agent, then you select an agent belonging to another player in the city where you are performing this action and remove it from the board. Interesting. Well, that's the one you're
well, because
playing.
like all of us could have an agent in the city.
Yep. If the card you played has the iconography shown on the right bottom of it, then you place the card near your secret identity and place the agent piece on top so they don't get those back. Oh, that makes sense, because if you run out of agents, that can end the game. I think it could. Well, it could definitely end the game for you. You then score victory points indicated on the card. The card you play does not have to have this box on it. Then, if the card you play does not have this box on it, then you hand the agent piece back to the owning player. So it is possible that you could just kill it and it goes back to their pool. But if it has that piece, you remove it from the game. They actually lose it forever.
So this symbol that has the agent at the bottom means it's gone.
Means that it goes. It gets attached to you put this off to the side.
They lose that agent. Yeah. If you assassinate a player's last remaining agent piece on the board, that player is obligated to reveal their secret identity. I guess that doesn't always end the game though, because you could still. I guess you could still play. People just know. No, wait, you can't play. You have no agents. If you choose to assassinate,
you don't need agents to have influence on the board, though.
I know, but you can't really do much without agents, though. Well, you can do some stuff.
They can influence. They can control
All
an
you
area
need
with
is influence.
Yeah, that's true.
Keep you from using your influence.
Yep, that's true. If you choose to assassinate royalty, then you take the royalty card from the royalty slot in the city where you perform the action and place it near your secret identity card. So you do not place the royalty card in your discard pile. Okay, so you don't actually get that card. It just goes to your score pile. You then roll the sanity die. If you have to lose one sanity token, then you remove. Then you also remove one of your agent pieces from the city in question and return it to your available stock. So if you lose a sanity, your agent freaks out and leaves. That's awesome.
well, in all fairness, you have 3 sanity points tied to because you start with 3 agents, I think. Or do you?
I don't
start
know.
with agents?
It doesn't say. It doesn't look like you do.
Really? How do you then you don't have agents at all? Like
You have.
Well, we haven't gotten that far though.
potentially.
We're
right, but there's no agents.
we haven't gotten that far.
nothing
There's
that
like
gives you-
other pages in this
Okay.
instruction manual.
Okay.
I haven't played this game before, so we'll get there. But what I'm saying is, this doesn't. It just goes to your score pile, and your dude gets scared and leaves. Finally, you remove all of your influence cubes from the city where you performed the action and place them in limbo. So just like buying a city card. All influence cubes belonging to other players in that area where the assassination occurred go back to their active pool. You may perform more than one assassination in a single action. Each assassination requires you to play the card with the A symbol on it. You must resolve each assassination in order, with you choosing that order. An agent piece can be used in multiple assassinations, both to allow such an assassination to occur and to contribute as a bond point value. But depending on what you roll,
As long as it doesn't freak out and run away.
yeah, then you're screwed. The other action you can do is discard cards. If you have a hand of what you consider to be useless cards, then as an action you can discard one or more cards from your hand to the discard pile. Please note that you do not pick up any more cards until the end of your turn when you draw back to 5 cards. So as your first action, if you discard your whole hand, you're done. Draw 5 cards because you can't do anything with the second action. You have no cards. Well, actually, that's not true because you might have influence out there, but you know what I'm saying. And then another action is take a card action. Many of the cards in this game allow you to carry out special actions. The card will state on it action, indicating that it costs one of your 2 actions to perform. If the card is just marked action, then you place it in your discard pile after use. If the card is marked one use action, then you remove it from the game. If the card gained you victory points in any manner, either when you claimed it or because you have just played it, then you place it near your secret identity card. You do not lose points marked on the card just because you have used it as a one-use function. So even though it's not in your deck anymore, you still keep those points. Or you can choose to pass. That's another action. Your secret identity at the start of the game, you will receive... Oh, we're going to place agents. I'm sorry. We're going to be placing agents at the start of the game.
That's what I thought.
We just haven't done it yet. because I was explaining the rules first. I apologize. I forgot about that step. We will be placing some. At the start of the game, you will have received a secret identity card. On this, you will have placed 3 sanity tokens. You must reveal your secret identity if your last remaining agent piece on the board is assassinated, or you lose your last remaining sanity token from the card. If you reveal your identity to be of a loyalist, you add agent pieces to the board to bring your total up to 3. On the game board to add up to 3. You may place these agents in any city spaces of your choice. The game then continues as normal. If you reveal your identity to that of a restorationist, the game ends immediately. So you can end it immediately. I wasn't wrong. Please pursue the section below entitled Ending the Game for more details. When a restorationist goes mad, he or she shoots herself. When a loyalist goes mad, people are hard-pressed to tell the difference. Wow! So you can potentially end the game. It's a little bit like Archipelago. You could potentially cause the end of the game if somebody is revealed to be a restorationist, that could end the game, and if these go to the end, that could end the game prematurely. Not prematurely, I guess it's a normal ending. And then during the course of the game, you will score victory points in a number of ways. They come in 3 types: loyalist, restorationist, and neutral. This distinction is only important at the end of the game. And during the course of the game, your total victory point score should reflect all of the victory points you've acquired. This is where it's going to get tricky. You adjust your victory points when you claim a card with victory points marked in the upper part of the card. When markers are moved on the loyalist, restorationist tracks, you play a card that has victory points marked in the text box. This should be placed near your secret identity card because they're only one-use cards. You assassinate an agent using a card that rewards victory points to do so. So, I guess you can. So for these, it doesn't mess with the track. You just get the points.
Right. So you get the points, and I assume at the end of game, you only get those points again if you are.
It's a color, but it doesn't move the restoration or the
right.
loyalist.
No, only the arrow moves the track.
Right,
yeah.
because
the squares, the hexagons are your
because
points.
the color matters for end of game totaling.
Yeah.
Because the color at the end of game, if it's purple, you're only getting points if you're a restorationist, and so on and so forth.
I would think.
Oh.
So you only, and then the question is, would the opposite color come out of your points, or will you just not?
Well, no. Here's the thing: if I pull this card, if I actually beat this dude, I roll to see if I lose sanity, and then my purple thing is gonna go up 3.
Right.
Nobody else will get points, and that won't move.
Right, but
at the end of the game,
at the end of the game, when you total up your victory pool,
yes,
you will only. Get
I won't
points
get any
if
bonus points for that.
Right, unless you're a restorationist.
Yes. Right. So I guess afterwards you're gonna take this. You get immediate points, but you could potentially, after your rolls have been revealed, you could potentially get more points from it.
So
if I'm reading this correctly.
So
That's
we're trying
what I'm
to
asking.
and so what we're trying to get at is that the color for your victory points on the cards only matters at endgame.
Yep. At endgame,
not
you're
during,
gonna pull these, but you still get the points immediately. It
Right.
tells you.
We're not talking about the points. We're just talking about the color.
Right.
So-
Well, there's still points. So you could potentially, depending on your roll, get points twice.
Right.
Correct. That is,
That's just saying. You're like if
Yeah, 'cause the only reason I'm reiterating is we thought that it would mess with this thing, and it doesn't.
it's only the arrow that messes with this thing.
Yeah, it's only the arrow cards.
But just like if you happen to end up with a card that has opposite color to what your roll is,
yeah,
does it count?
it counts
not?
when you first get it, and then you put it over here, and then at the end of the game, when you're like, okay, now I'm gonna go through all my cards to see what bonus points I get for the upper part.
Right.
You get nothing if you're not the right color.
That's
if it's black,
the
everybody
question.
gets it.
I'm thinking that might be true. I don't know if any of the assassins have anything other than green.
Because I think the assassins, I think it's the ones on the bottom count no matter what. It's the one on the top that are dependent.
Yeah, the top ones are your bonus ones.
Yeah.
This one you always get.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't know why they didn't make that black. Then.
They should have made that black. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Doesn't make
it
any
doesn't.
sense.
We're probably doing it wrong. I wouldn't doubt it. It's just not very clear.
We're about to find out in a couple weeks when this goes live. when this goes
on
live.
YouTube, we will find out how wrong we are, because I'm pretty sure we are. Well, I think we're right, though. I think the first time we were wrong, but now we're right. Yeah, because... Oh, no, we are wrong. So, let's say... We'll look at both of these. Let's say in one turn, just for the hell of it, I kill that dude...
with that dude.
But no, but in another card or another play, I kill an agent, and I take the agent. I get 3 points for this, 3 points for this. This goes over here. At the end of the game, let's say I'm a loyalist. Okay. At the end of the game, I'm actually going to tally this. You count both the top and the bottom. So I get the 3 points for that for being a loyalist. I get nothing for this because I wasn't a restorationist. So we look at the top and the bottom.
Okay. But my understanding, so here's my question though. Does that mean that there are assassins that don't have green? Because so far, every assassin we've seen so far is green only.
I don't know. I haven't.
So
I
So
don't
that's
have
why,
an idea.
and according to the back of the book, that symbol just says you get V point. It just says you get VP. It doesn't specify type.
Yeah, but it says right here.
Yeah.
You play a card that has victory points marked in the text box. This card should be placed near your secret identity card because you use that to tally your bonus
Right,
points.
right.
So this one would be bonus points,
Yeah. But that just means loyalists don't get any bonus points for assassinating people.
which makes sense. They shouldn't. When you think about it.
I mean,
guess.
restorationists, I mean, that's the point
They're
of
the
a restorationist.
rebels.
But that's the point. They should be assassinating these things.
Well, I mean, you're hoping that if you're a restorationist, you're probably hoping. I don't know. I'm just saying. From what it says in black and white here, you still score unless I'm reading it wrong. But it literally operates the same way as the bonus on the top. And then the game ends. I guess unless the loyalist thing doesn't have. Wait, is it the restorationist thing is the one where it ends me? Okay, so if the restorationist ending doesn't happen, there's another way for the game to end. The game ends when one of the following combinations have been met. When a player reaches or exceeds 22 points because it's a 4-player game, or both markers reach a 10.
Both markers?
Yeah, if both markers reach 10 or somebody gets 22 victory points, that'll end. And as soon as one restorationist player is forced to reveal a secret identity, which will occur if they lose all their agent pieces, blah, blah, blah. Once the game ends, all players reveal their secret identities. Okay, now it's telling you how to adjust the points. So we're going to get to that. Do you want to read it now so that you guys know to prepare for it?
It'll matter. It might
Yeah, I mean,
matter for playing.
It makes
Yeah.
a difference. Like,
Okay.
are these going to actually...
Okay. Once you reveal all your identities, all players now adjust their victory point scores to take into account their identity. Note that the game if the game end was triggered due to one or more players reaching or exceeding the set number of victory points, then the game still ends, even if all the adjusted scores fall below this target. Because you're going to lose points, I think. A loyalist player retains all loyalist and neutral victory points. They lose any restorationist
That's what
victory
I
points.
thought.
Okay.
That's what I
That
thought.
makes a lot more sense. So this actually starts to make sense.
Because
Okay,
you don't
sorry.
want restorationists
You're taking an action that goes against
doing that, and loyalists... if loyalists can kill royals and get points, that's...
Oh, so that's what it. So that's how the deception works.
Yes.
You're just acquiring a crap ton of points, regardless of what it is. Restoration loyalist during the game, it doesn't matter. You're just getting points
Right.
and points and points. However, at the end of the game,
It's a bit of a press your luck
we then
aspect.
take a look at it and say, okay, how many of those points actually count for victory?
Yes.
Aha.
So it's a press your luck thing.
Right.
It's a deck building press your luck deception game. Holy crap, this game. This is probably going to be really fun now that we know how to do it. I'm probably going to lose this game hardcore though because I'm not sure I'm knowing what I'm doing. Okay, so and then of course wait a minute. If the agent, a loyalist player can. Okay, so this explains the agent thing. A loyalist player will retain victory points on any cards used for assassinating other agents if the agent piece on the card in question belongs to a restorationist player.
Ah.
Otherwise, these points are lost. So if you're suspicious, start assassinating the crap out of somebody who you think is a restorationist. Or take the risk to kind of clear the board. Whoops. Thank you. So that's the only way for you to get points. So that makes sense, like where it's all one green color.
So basically the hired assassin is really a loyalist killing restorationists.
Yeah, the restorationists probably don't really care what they're doing. They can kill anybody. But
Right.
the loyalist wants to figure out who the restorationists are
And
take them out. So there's a bit of a deduction aspect for you while the restorationists are trying to be deceptive so that you don't kill them. That's pretty cool.
That's why it's green, because
Yes, because it's supposed to be. With regards to the loyalist and restorationist tracks, the highest marker determines which side retains those points. Wow. Thus, if the restorationist marker was 2 points higher than the loyalist marker, then all loyalist players would lose 2 victory points, while the restorationist players would retain those points. Finally, after making all of the above adjustments, look at which player has the lowest victory point score. All players on the same side, Loyalists or Restorationists, lose 5 victory points. In the case of a tie, for the lowest score, then Loyalist player will be regarded as having the lower score than a Restorationist player.
Wow.
The Elder Gods look frowned upon. Tied.
And then
You
whoever
win
the
the
highest point score is the winner. So it's semi-cooperative, but not cooperative at all. It's deduction and deception. Press your luck. Deck building game.
Wow.
That is neat. I wonder what those zombie tokens are used for. It doesn't really say. I guess it must be on the card. Huh. All right, let's find out how many. I think we put. I forgot how many of the dudes we put out. How many
Players start with 2 agents on the board and 5 influence.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I want to know if we get to place them both before we. You know what I mean? Is it one at a time, or do we? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, it says you start with 2 agents on the board. That's all I can tell.
Right. I'm just trying to see if it says blah blah blah. Your 10 agent pieces. Place your victory point disc on 0. Each player starts. Shuffle your deck and draw the top 5 cards. So we're gonna have 5. Yeah, it's one at a time. I just wanted to check to see if it was one at a time when you place your thingies. All right, geez. Now we can
Take
start
Rygog
playing.
out. Put Rygog back.
Where'd he go?
It's you just shuffled them.
Oh, jeez. It's because my deck is purple. That's rough. So, geez, that took a long time. I should have waited to put this on the show after I've played it once, because it's a little bit more confusing than I thought it was going to be. It's kind of funny because I thought Smog was going to be more confusing than this, and I was wrong.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be that confusing once we're doing it. I think
No, now that we've done it, I think I have an idea of what to do, how to do it. Alright, I guess I'll determine. We get to draw our cards before we place our agents, so we can determine based on what we get for cards.